Welcome back. We're going to look now at the tools within the note-taking portion of Notability so we can know and use all the fantastic tools that are inside here. So I'm going to start by creating a new note in my polynomial section. That button is in the top right. It's the one that looks like a pencil in a box. And when I click that, it will take me automatically to my new note. Now, you'll notice a few things off the bat. In the top left, it has created a title for my note by default based on what settings I had set up for default notes. If I click on it, I can edit it and give it whatever title I want. It will still have the date and the time below there. You can also see that it used my settings for what I wanted the page to look like. I had a dark page with a grid, so it'll keep that. If you have different settings, it will use those as well. So most of what we're going to talk about is just all of this stuff on the top bar. We will go from left to right to keep it easy. The first button that you will see there is if you're connected to another screen, you can actually mirror different ways through Notability. So if I mirror as a presentation, all you will be able to see, or all your students will be able to see on your projector, for instance, is just the note itself. Now notice, if I go back to my menu here, you are not going to see the menu that I see on my iPad. You aren't going to see my notes anymore. You're just going to see a Notability blue screen. And then when I click my note again, you will see the note content. If you ever want your students to see your menu or the tools that you're using within Notability, you need to choose there and go back to screen. Then they can see everything that you're doing, regardless of if you're in menus or using different tools in Notability. The next button over is an undo button. If you do anything and need to just go back one step, you can do that as well. If you go a few steps, it will go back in order. The next one over is a text box. This is the beginning of our editing tools, and for the most part, if you click an editing tool and then click it again, it will give you more options for that tool. So you can see I can enable the option to draw text boxes. I can draw it with either my Apple Pencil or my finger, and then I can start typing. Notice by default that that is in a dark font. A dark font on my dark page is not what I want, so I can change those options here. Just like some other editors, remember the font color will not change, the font styles will not change unless you have the words that you want to change selected. Once you select them, you can edit those fonts however you like. You can also, within there, save fonts. The ABC heart down there are to save certain styles of font or use certain styles of font if you want to reuse things frequently. The next one over is the drawing tool, and this one will probably be the most commonly used. You can draw words or pictures. That's one of those options that we had turned on, that if you hold down after drawing a shape, it will attempt to make it into a shape. Sometimes it works better than others. It'll have to guess, and sometimes it'll do it closer to what you want. Again, if we double tap that or tap that icon again, we'll get all of the options for different colors and different sizes and styles of our pen. Next, we have a highlighter. It is very similar to the pen, with the only difference that if you go over something, it will now make the thing visible underneath. If we use the pen to draw over something, it will draw over it, and we will no longer be able to see the thing below. Highlighters will allow us to see what was below it. Next is the eraser. It does not have very many options at all. You can partially erase or erase a whole thing and then change your sizes. Generally speaking, though, it will draw a line, and then anything you touch with that line will kind of fade out and will go away when you let go. The scissors are so you can grab things and move them. There will be a light blue line that draws around, and whatever is in that line will move around with you. Notice that if you select a portion of something that is together, it will move that whole thing. So if you're selecting some words but accidentally get part of something else, it'll move that together as well. The only two options there are you can select freeform or as a rectangle. The next one is for navigation. So if you are navigating with these tools while you have a tool enabled, you need to use 2 fingers to move around the screen. If you use 1 finger and you're not using an Apple Pencil, it'll think you're trying to draw. However, if you use this tool, then you can navigate through the note using your finger. And the last one up here is also if you're presenting. You may not see this button all the time, but if you're connected to an Apple TV or another screen, this will make your pointer a laser pointer. So when I touch the screen with my Apple Pencil, I'm actually no longer editing anything, but I can simply tap the screen to point out what I'm looking at so my students know where I'm describing. Getting past the editing tools, we also have a microphone that you can click to record yourself while you're taking a note. You'll see that recording going with a timer and a stop button. As soon as you hit stop, it'll put the microphone back up. But once you have at least one recording, it will give you some options for those recordings. You can play them back, you can change the speed, and if you hit the gear, you can have some different options with those notes, with those audio notes. If you click the waveform icon right there, that's where you can see if you have multiple recordings. And if you need to, you can click select to select them and do whatever you want with them. You can delete them, you can merge them all into one recording, whatever you need. Finally, getting to the right, the plus button will allow you to add a variety of different media to your note. Photos, different documents, things from the web. If you click on any one of those, it will take you to the relevant place where you can choose your media and insert that into your note. Finally, the 3 dots is where we have the options for our notes. So most of these were set up in our defaults menu, but if you do want to change them for an individual note, you can do it here. You can also view it different ways for if you have multiple pages. And finally, on the very, very right, if you click the page icon in the top right, it'll show you all the pages in a kind of overview, in a zoomed out view. So if you have a very long document, you can navigate through those pages easier. You can also bookmark certain pages so that you can get back to them easily if you do have a large document. The only 2 things I haven't noticed yet are right here underneath me. You can use this navigation system at the bottom, right here, to flip quickly between pages and use that zoom button to be looking just at a portion of your note. This can be handy for handwriting. On the top, you can click and drag the blue box, and that's what you're looking at. And in a zoomed in way, you can write down below and it will write on the note a little smaller. This is useful if you want to keep a lot of things in view, but you want to write, and it's easier to write larger, but it will appear smaller on the note and your students can still see what's going on different parts of the page. That's it for editing. Have fun, make some wonderful notes, and I'll see you again next time.